Well, we used to talk about exceptional weather events, and sadly those events are no longer so exceptional. We're seeing more prolonged bouts of very heavy rain, not just in the winter, we're seeing it in the summer too, as we saw this summer across Europe and also in the UK. And it's not just a problem of rivers and sea, we're seeing the increasing problem of urban flooding, things like runoff. Water simply has nowhere to go, so it finds the point of least resistance, so that could be the threshold of a commercial property or a house. And also problems with drainage being completely overwhelmed, drainage which wasn't really meant to cope with that volume of water too. So essentially it's a real issue. We're in a climate change crisis, and I think flooding is very much part of that. Well, the reason for looking at resilience from a claims perspective is that I think we're very good at dealing with flood losses, marshalling staff, our own staff, loss adjusters and contractors, and dealing with either one-off events or big surges. But we're going back to the same property again, time and time again, replacing the same kitchen, putting people up in the hotel they've been in before. So we thought, how do we break that cycle and deal with that déjà vu? And one of the ways we thought was to look at Build Back Better from a flood resilience perspective. If we think about the environmental impact of flooding, we're talking about serious damage to properties, water that needs to be located, moisture that needs to be removed from a property that needs to be dried and then reinstated. And even the drying process has an impact in terms of the energy usage of running dehumidifiers, for example. And then when we're looking to replace materials, so whether that be kitchen units, whether that be plasterboard or replacing wooden doors, you have to source those materials. You have to find them, particularly at the moment in a supply chain challenge crisis that we've got and we're currently facing. So there's a carbon footprint related to reinstatement. So if we can look at resilience, it means hopefully the damage next time will be less, the carbon footprint less, and therefore there's a bonus for the environment, for the customer and for ourselves. Well, we thought we'd look at flood resilience from a customer perspective and look at our claims processes. We're simply not having enough conversations with customers post-flood about how they can help themselves, how they can help better protect their property. So we came up with a toolkit, and that toolkit does a number of things. It allows us to triage claims in a better way, to spot opportunities for resilience. It allows us to have those conversations and better inform clients about what they can do to their property. And finally, it allows us to monitor those improvements and look at take-up of flood resilience, which can only be of benefit to everybody. There are a number of improvements that customers can take to improve their properties post-flood. It can be anything from installing an air brick cover to installing sockets higher up the wall, not just at skirting board level, to hanging plasterboard rather than vertically, say horizontally, which means if the property floods again, there's less strip out. Or maybe even installing a non-return valve to a toilet to stop water discharging. And some of these things may be actually cost neutral, or we can look at the indemnity spend in a more holistic, different way. But if money does need to be spent over and above that, let's say to install a demountable flood door, the customer may see that as an opportunity to improve that property and to better protect not only the premises but the people living and working in it. So the flooding toolkit is to assist conversations really with customers post-flood about what they can do to really improve their property from a resilience perspective. So it helps us triage the appropriate cases where resilience could make a real difference. And it enables that conversation and to also inform customers too, and provides internal and external resources around flood resilience so customers can make an informed choice. And it's very much about customer choice and preference, but hopefully with that toolkit it can help them do that. Well, we're still seeing lots of flooding in flood-prone areas and sadly in new builds as well. So we need to look at planning policy very, very seriously, and also building regulations which allow non-protected properties to be constructed in flood-prone areas. And also we need to look at the flood resilience grant system. At present, grants are granted on the back of floods and really only for exceptional regional events. What we'd like to see is grants to be a business as usual proposition. Much as if you may lag your loft, you can make your property more resilient with the help of government funding.